Yeah, to do tonight, we're going to have to probably have you log on to my machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome everybody to Talking Niagara. We've only got YouTube today. I'm going to see if I can fix my account, my Facebook account today. Don't know what happened, but I accidentally clicked on one of those stupid things yesterday that blew up everything.
Well, he's in Facebook jail. I hope the food is good.
And I didn't do a thing.
I know. This is what happens. Facebook is just, people are just said, like, too bad, Peter. We can't defend people from going to Facebook jail.
Yeah, and I'm innocent. 100% innocent.
I believe you. Facebook is doing this to everybody. They're everywhere.
Okay.
The Facebook police.
Well, I'm doing this show, saving it out of posterity, on the hope that it will work. So did you try turning your phone around? Because I thought I saw it and then it flipped back.
Okay.
I don't know. It just, because you've got vertical panel as if you're doing the phone vertically. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll go through. All right. So here we go. At least one tornado touched down in Fort Erie.
Oh God. My internet is driving me nuts. Oh God. I don't know. I think that I'm in internet jail somehow.
So you're in internet jail, I'm in Facebook jail. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know which one I prefer. Maybe the food's better in one or the other.
So they're clearing up in Fort Erie after they've actually, so that one of these tornadoes actually touched down in Fort Erie, and they're cleaning up now.
Oh yes.
A lot of damage, but no injuries reported so far.
Yeah, well, except to a camper in the middle of a Walmart parking lot. So I don't hope nobody was in that camper.
Yeah, well, but hey, what you doing with a camper in the middle, leaving a camper in the middle of a Walmart parking lot?
Yeah.
Hey, didn't it tear the top off a Walmart? I would have expected that to have happened.
Yep. Well, that roof was ready to go anyway, so maybe they're going to do something about the roof there.
Well, I'd expect the roof to just go like that in those kind of buildings,
Yeah, exactly. Those they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, they're not exactly, they're put up in, the whole buildings from concept to actually opening the store. Those buildings are done in 3 months, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have some of them that are built like from some stores are built from other buildings. Like we have the Teppermans that just opened. Hey, they built from another building that was already there, but our Walmart and everything was built from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I say, put up, from first item of metal to actual opening in 3 months. Normally, those stores.
Oh God, yeah, it took a long time. I'm trying to remember how long it took to build those because I was living right across the way at the time.
Yeah. Okay. So Fort Erie mayor has basically said it's the second time a 100-year storm has hit the area in the last 5 years. So what do we conclude from that? There's no such thing as a 100-year storm, is there?
Nope, not today anyways.
And okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out another way to get us live on what do you call it? On Facebook. But anyway.
Yeah, Facebook's Talking Niagara. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of weird, and like when you think about it, it's that's just a typical sort of thing. I don't know. That was just a bad weekend storm. Not that we got, I didn't get any rain for more than about an hour.
Yeah, I was sitting in the office because I had to go and I had an appointment at the office and I was talking on a Zoom. And after that, I started hearing rumbling of thunder. Then I saw that there was raining outside, and I was reading about tornado warnings and everything. And then after that, it just cleared up.
Yeah, yeah, and like it had felt like it was going to rain the whole morning,
Mm-hmm.
the whole day.
Yeah.
I have to say that I felt it from like I went outside to plant some flower, went outside actually just to look. And I had to get some plants planted along the fence line. And it just felt like it was going to rain the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Humidity must have been in the high 90s. When
Mm.
you do things in high humidity, you just sweat, don't you?
Yeah, that's like I remember you and I were chatting. You said, "Well, hopefully the humidity will lift." Hey, so
Yeah.
after the rain stopped, the humidity went back like whoop, back on again,
Yeah.
like it never
But
left.
it did go down yesterday. There was, they continued to rain yesterday anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
yesterday
Yeah.
was good. Well, just be thankful that it does rain because when it doesn't rain, you'll have all these forest fires and everything.
Yeah. The funny thing is about this is that there was a number of pictures people displayed on Facebook about that storm, and it literally as if it was coming down, but it never decided to actually touch down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Whether it was just an F1 or an F2, I'm not sure. Hey, what
Yeah.
level they considered that tornado? It wasn't really a heavy tornado like you have out in Oklahoma or something.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, regional council approved procedural changes recommended by the integrity commissioner following the clash over the Gaza conflict. So this is where I was talking with Mike about last week about this, and what had happened is the Gaza conflict. These people, they voted about the signs at regional council, not permitting signs at regional council. And
Ooh,
but
they banned those from city council in St. Catharines long ago.
yeah,
You
I'm not
can't even wear a
surprised.
T-shirt with the slogan going into
Yeah,
St. Catharines.
yeah, I'm not surprised because it's disrespectful of the process, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's like going into a jury pool where people select jury and then wear a T-shirt saying "Hang 'em high."
Yeah, yeah, and you go into the room and you look at the juror on there and you go number 12. Looking at your paperwork. The paperwork says number 12 is the guy that's going to save your client, but he's wearing a hang 'em high t-shirt.
Yeah. In other words, I don't
and,
want to be on the
and
jury.
you spend $100,000 on a jury consultant to give you number 12's a sure bang. You're
Oh.
out of here.
I remember I had to write jury excuses for people because I've had some pretty rough workplaces where people had to do a lot of work and they had to do a lot of travel. And I've had people called for jury duty, so I've had to write them letters to take to the courts so that they could be excused.
Mm,
And it was interesting.
yeah.
They got excused, but it's just having to write these letters. And I said, gee, it's almost like people having to go to school or something and they want to have the day off school.
Okay, so this all stems from last fall, at the direction of regional chair. The Israeli flag was flown over the Niagara regional headquarters following the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas.
Mhm.
Right, citing that president, Councillor Haley Bateman sought to have regional councillors endorse a motion calling for immediate ceasefire in the Israel-Gaza conflict that broke out after those said attacks, right?
Mhm.
Now, Bateman's efforts were made at January 25th council meeting. However, Bateman was stymied by St. Catherine's Mayor Cisco, who proposed to council that Bateman's motion be taken off the agenda. Regional councillors overwhelmingly supported Cisco. Right, and Bateman's motion was never considered by the council. This prompted major protests from Gaza sympathizers who were attending the meeting as members of the public. And at one point, Bradley had to suspend the meeting to have all members of the public removed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I guess I understand why that, I actually understand why you can have a motion like that suspended, right?
Yeah.
But I also understand why why the sympathizers' emotions also run high, right? And of course, Bradley as chair of the meeting, has to step in and has got no choice but to remove them. Hey. What happened there?
Yeah, I disappeared for a sec.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a really weird one, because he had no choice. He had no choice in any of these steps, actually. But should they have suspended the Bateman's motion? That's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, I feel bad about that, because these are issues that are very important to many citizens of Niagara. I think that at least that there could have been some time devoted to talking about it, and maybe making some kind of statement. Hey, I know we can't do anything about it, but at least to make some kind of statement. Hey, in support of ending the war.
Yeah.
Hey, because we got a lot of Palestinian citizens in Niagara. We also have a lot of Jewish citizens.
Well, and here's where it becomes problematic. Does, to what extent does Niagara region have, because anything to do with international politics is not in the remit of Niagara region, right? And I know we've probably got people in Niagara region who are Jewish. We've probably got people in the Niagara region who are from Gaza. We've probably got people who are Israeli in the Niagara region, etc. as well, right?
I know one of my close friends I had a long time ago, he was actually part of the IDF.
Yeah.
And he's very Jewish. And today he's talking about wanting peace. Okay?
Yeah.
And he now he's looking at all this stuff. Like, he's very strongly Jewish, does not like to see people being genocided in Jewish, like in Israel. He doesn't like people being attacked in Israel. But he's also seeing the whole question that there are two sides to this.
Yeah. And the point being is, earlier this spring, Regional Council asked the Integrity Commissioner to examine what went wrong with this series of events and to propose changes to council rules to avoid such events in the future. So the January uproar was considered by many to be exceptionally challenging, and I get it. I do understand, and that's not. We want council meetings to be held with decorum, even if there are opposing views in there. And I've stated before on this show that I believe it was wrong for the regional council to actually put up, to have put up the Israeli flag. Absolutely wrong.
Yeah, that was something I think would trigger a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that was an error on their part, because it's better for them not to put up either.
Yeah.
Than for them to put up an Israel flag, and then that's just gonna charge a lot of people, making them think that, oh, though they're just for the Israel and they're not for the Palestinians.
Yeah, and the point about this is that Hamas was wrong to take those you know, to take those hostages.
Absolutely.
Hamas was wrong to invade the Israeli territory, and again, IDF was wrong to retaliate.
Absolutely. I mean, they have to look at this, where it started, how it's going to end. But unfortunately, we have somebody there in their government who is so pro-settlement, and it's hurting a lot of people. How many people died now with the Palestinian side?
It's I don't know. I haven't been keeping track on a regular basis, but I
Yeah,
know it's at least 40,000.
yeah, because Dave Wheeler was giving kind of large.
Dave Wheeler was keeping daily notice of this stuff. I've not.
Yeah,
Um, you know, I've
exactly.
not, because
That
one
does
per-
just
the
pains me that people are living in these war-stripped countries, and
yeah
then what happens is then people from these war-stripped countries end up coming to Canada or U.S. or whatever because they need to escape such the thing, and then people in Canada complain that there's too many people coming to this country.
yeah yeah.
See where it all starts?
The too many people come into the country, and
Yeah,
the thing is, every time there's a conflict breaks out and we bring too many people, we have to we have to be very concerned.
yeah, we have to be concerned, and we have to kind of find a way to distribute them, maybe on a global level, talk to people and try to distribute them equally among Western democracies.
Right, so the report encouraged council to require delegates to provide advanced briefing notes to demonstrate the relevance of their presentations to the overall agenda before being allowed to address council.
Oh, ooh. Now that can be abused.
That is actually something that would concern me, because how easy is it to abuse briefing notes?
Yeah, what if it has something to do with something that may have some ties to regional council's budget or something, but maybe it's kind of a bit on the sidelines? They don't want to hear from you.
Yeah,
It's irrelevant. Okay.
yeah,
And who's going to make that determination?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Like at City Council in St. Catharines, it's not too bad because they do ask for people to come forward to speak on different items, and whatever they bring up, people can come up and speak spontaneously, or they can apply ahead of time to speak. Hey, and and they're pretty reasonable about it.
Yeah.
But they should maybe adopt St. Catharines and see what they can do, because I don't see a lot of people
Well,
being kicked out of St. Catharines, except one time they came in with I forget what their fight was about, but people were all wearing T-shirts, all saying the same thing. Hey, and then they all got kicked out of city council chambers.
it's not happened. I think, in all honesty, it's not happened very often with any events I don't think it's happened in Niagara Falls,
Mhm.
either, people getting thrown out. Maybe the odd, okay, Sandra McKinnon was thrown out of council hall because she was angry about the fact that Laurie Lococo's motion about wards was not even discussed.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And her anger was over the fact that she felt that we had to discuss, there was a reason to discuss that question of wards. But Victor Peterangelo basically decided that, hey, there's no need for this, because at a certain point within the 22 to 26 city council, there was going to be a review done by the province anyway
Hmm.
of the whole, how is governance continuing in the city of Niagara Falls. Now, you know, I'm firmly in belief in the ward system. I think the city is too large to be at large anymore. We need to have representatives in each area, and that's, that can't be avoided. It really can't be avoided.
Yeah, even Welland has wards.
Yeah, and Welland's much smaller than Niagara Falls.
Exactly. They've always had wards as far as I remember.
Yeah, and the point being is that the ward system is to try to keep locality. But however, one of the things that would happen, and I guess this was what was going through Peter Angelo's mind in that regard, was that if we end up going to a single municipality system, what the heck is the point of moving, spending money on moving Niagara over to a ward system, only to have that system disappear before it's even in use?
Yeah, this is.
I understand its thinking.
Yeah, I can understand that too, because that could just happen just because on a stroke of a pen by provincial government,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
because the municipality is not its own. It is its own legal entity, but it's there at the behest of the province.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, what ends up happening is that if the province decides to a single Niagara municipality, then everything we've done in advance is all for nothing anyway. But there are things that we do in Niagara Falls, in St. Catharines, in Welland, that would all be for nothing anyway, should the province make that decision. And at the moment, even though it was originally aired by Doug Ford 6 years ago, there's not been any evidence that he's actually going to pursue that avenue of investigation.
That'll be pretty controversial to change anything about Niagara's municipalities. I think most people just either like it as it is.
Well, yeah, but also most people also agree that we have way too many politicians in this area.
Oh yeah, well, that we got too many politicians. Period. Like I showed you that meme
Yeah,
about the little boy asking why isn't there any more circuses anymore, and then somebody said, "Well, all the clowns went to run for politics."
Yeah, and why, and how, anyway, that's a whole big question, and we're talking about clowns later on.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on, residents in Waterdown we've heard this one before many times. Residents in Waterdown say a proposed 18-unit townhouse development doesn't belong in their neighborhood.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Doesn't belong. This is that NIMBY thing.
Got the NIMBY.
So they're basically fighting this a proposed 18-unit townhouse, and they're going to be saying, probably they'll be using words like nice development, wrong area.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to go on, and yep, it's the same thing. Like some of the concerns around some of the Niagara Falls developments, I mean, had some reasoning to it, at least around the Thundering Waters and a few other things when some of those were brought up. But sometimes people just bring these things up because, oh, it destroys the character of our neighborhood.
Well, okay, so if you, and I'm talking Niagara Falls, if you were to suddenly put a 25-story high density, tower block in the middle of the Calogero Estates here in Niagara Falls, then yeah, it's probably going to destroy that neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Or a 32-story condo in my neighborhood. Hey, that's gonna make it kind of look weird. It's gonna stick out like a thumb.
Yeah, and generally cities don't like oddities in any neighborhood. For example, here in Niagara Falls, a lot of these new developments, multi-story buildings are going up on McLeod Road.
Mm-hmm.
because that's the area upon which they have been built. And it's like, for example, Geneva Street, back, there was a time when they were building all these probably 8 to 10 floor buildings on Geneva Street, one after another, whole way down, whole way down a section of that street. Right? Because it was appropriate for those buildings in that area. As soon as one's gone up, you can put others in that same area, right?
Yes.
And that's the whole point about a lot of these homes. So in Niagara Falls, the biggest development right now in terms of multiplexes is those going up on McLeod Road. And and actually the one question I think when it comes down to townhouse development is there's always those people that say, well, ours are nice leafy, half-acre lots here, and now you're going to put 5 houses on a half-acre lot. And the rest of this neighborhood is a 1 house on a half-acre lot type thing.
Yeah, there was somebody who just wrote me, and they said, "What's happening? Talking Niagara not on today, or Facebook blocked me, or something?"
Facebook's blocking. Tell them Facebook's blocking me.
Yeah, I'll just say that Peter's in Facebook jail.
Yeah. Go watch on yeah.
Yeah.
Go watch on YouTube. We'll try and get it fixed.
Yeah, exactly. This is so ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and of course I'm raising this in Waterdown. Waterdown's in Hamilton, of course, but the sort of thing, this sort of thing comes up all the time. They're saying things like the driveway where the proposed development is going to be is about 20 meters away from the light that can't even see the drive, and you can't even see the driveway until you get close to the light. Right. So basically, wouldn't the first thing that would be happening there is you would actually be changing all the lighting in the area?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Just because it's currently dark doesn't mean to say that it will continue to be dark. In fact, new development often brings up a lot of questions. Now, they've got a new development. There's a public meeting going on Tuesday, 10th of September, at Niagara Falls City Hall, about a plot of land around the corner from myself. This is on 4th Avenue. And what they're proposing to build on 4th Avenue is they've got a site plan of what looks to be about I suppose about 25 townhomes.
Oh yeah.
Right. In most of the cases, I'd be saying great, not a problem. Not a problem at all. Right. Except this is where you actually have to say, Mike Cushman, tell us about poisons leaching across into that land.
That's what we need to know, and that's what needs to be presented. Just for the NIMBY people, that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, because in fact, this is right opposite from this on 4th Avenue is actually the new homes that were built on the former YMCA land. And the former YMCA land, Mike walked it before that development, and he could find these puddles of thick black, yucky stuff.
Oh.
Right? So Mike and Gary Wilkins walked that area. The car park next to this lot is the former car park of Cyanamid.
Oh, so that's a very well-known neighborhood for both Mike and Gary.
Yeah. And, Mike Cushman tells me that Cyanamid is basically dead. Right. Basically, yeah. That cyanamide is poison land underneath that car park.
Oh God. Yeah, it's the last thing you want is to build housing on this kind of toxic waste dumps.
Yeah. So, you know, and hey, probably, you know, I don't know too much about this particular proposed one in Waterdown, but it comes across as like, yeah, if you were going to be campaigning against something, it's probably like this development that we've got on 4th Avenue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they should have a reason for it. Yeah, like you say. Hey, because I remember going through the Love Canal here when they had this in Niagara region, but this was in Niagara Falls, New York, Hooker
Yeah.
Chemical Company, and
Yeah.
they were burying all these drums of chemicals, and then they built new housing developments over and above it, and then they found people were getting cancers, very strange cancers, and
Yeah.
strangely enough, the cancers where they were located, you can actually draw a map as to where these cancers were and where these drums are being buried.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
this was actually taken with, like, this is Lois Gibbs, and she took a leadership of the Love Canal Home Owners Association, and they fought back. And it was very interesting how that there is a movie on that one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and actually, well, our own Mike Cushman is also very knows that very, very well, that
Yeah,
whole love canal
exactly.
issue as well,
Yeah.
and that is of concern to me because, you know, when it comes down to building on this, you know, this, okay, arguably this was never this was never cyanamide land,
Hmm.
right? This lot was never cyanamide land, but um but it's not, but it's so close to cyanamide land that you surely that causes us concern.
Definitely, definitely, and I think that this has to be explored fully and cleaned up if
Well,
necessary before they put housing there. That's the same
yeah,
as the old GM properties that we have in St. Catharines and Ontario Street. How they want to build housing and all sorts of things there.
yeah,
And right now already they have cancer clusters in the area.
yeah, and actually, this is what you know bothers me about this is that there's a potential cancer cluster right there.
Yep, exactly. It's something that nobody needs at this point. I think they need to start being smart
You know,
about, like,
yeah,
develop, build things, but be smart about it.
and okay, I could take the attitude that hey, it's not in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not my house that's on the poison land. But
Mm-hmm.
again, then again, what tends to happen with these sort of things is if you go build it, you know, what I worry about is the fact that they go build on that poison land, they're pushing it out, squishing it out,
Mm.
right? Which means they're pushing the poisons away
Yeah.
in my direction.
And then they start getting into the water and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
It's just awful because and I think people need to put their foot down about that, and a lot more than they even are, because the Love Canal can start all over again. And people who are buying these properties, they don't tell them, hey, by the way, the new house you just bought is built over a bunch of chemicals and buried
yeah.
underneath.
Well,
Hey,
the irony, of course, is, and what the developers in that particular unit will say is that this isn't cyanamide land, and it wasn't. It isn't,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But if you were
Just things that can
going,
be disturbed underneath.
yeah, yeah, and that's what the big concern is. You know, what can be disturbed underneath?
Yeah, any good engineer will tell you how soil and stuff like that can be disturbed when you start building and developing on it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what bothers me. Okay, um, okay, right. And hey, you know, yeah, a lot of these sort of things. So okay, we got this NIMBY thing in Waterdown, and it really does just sound NIMBY, right? It really
Yeah, that
does.
sounds very NIMBY-ish.
Yeah, it just sounds like, you know, councillor Ward 15 councillor Todd McEakin supports Scott Street neighbours in opposing this development, right? And he says it's incompatible with the community.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Let's see
And
what happens with this.
yeah, and here's the thing, it's like, you know, it's you've got these sort of things whereby I guess in Britain we used to have councillors that actually had political parties.
Oh, sort of
Right.
like Toronto
So
did at one time.
sorry?
Toronto did at one time. They had the Toronto Party, and NDP sort of ran quietly. They ran candidates for the NDP.
Well, actually, I think it's the only way we're going to change places like Niagara is to actually have like a Niagara for Niagarans party.
Yeah, we need to start having people who are going to take interest in some general things.
And basically basically bring about an opposition, you know, a clear opposition to, you know, to that system.
Yeah, so if they constantly have people who are, yeah, that's one of the problems when you have a municipal, because they generally ban political parties like outright. Although many places they've kind of quietly sent people in. Like Niagara seems to have a lot of conservative members quietly running, and that some liberals quietly running. In Toronto,
Yeah.
they were quietly running NDPs, and then some guy ran for the Toronto Party. He tried to run, and I don't know what the Toronto
Well,
Party
and you
lost.
see in actually in British Columbia, there was there was actually a political affiliation that actually runs Vancouver now.
Yeah,
Right.
and
So
yeah,
that's a political party there. I believe the only way we're going, you know, we have a situation, unfortunately, with Niagara, that we have a situation whereby incumbents are blocking the way. We actually need to have, you know, blocking change in city and blocking new ideas. And the only way we're going to beat them is by coming up with a political party.
yeah, and get some funding behind it,
Yeah.
and then move forward on it. Like have a slate of candidates in each city
Yeah.
that would be standing with this new political movement,
Yeah.
and then raise money, and then just support each of these candidates.
And the point being is all the candidates run in the same color labels, and those
Yeah.
are distinct from most other candidates. So for example, and I'm just using this color, they use green and black to
Mhm.
indicate, you know, that all the candidates that are supported, and the political group that manages this, that can organizes the fundraising, etc., is a declared third party funder
Yeah.
for each of those candidates.
Yeah. And the third party funder will go out, collect donations, and each of the candidates would have a chance to speak on behalf so they can attract
And
funding.
and here's the irony: though because of the timing of the provincial election versus our municipal election, they could actually utilize the provincial election to publicize their local party in their local area.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
You get what I mean? No,
Yeah.
you've not got any hope of actually breaking the mold between conservative and liberal, or, you know, whoever's running in your local area, but just to publicize the fact that, you know, like Niagara needs change or St. Catharines needs change.
Absolutely.
Right.
They did
And
that Coalition for a Better Niagara. They did that one.
yeah, the problem with Coalition for a Better Niagara is they didn't keep it going.
Yeah, it was just it seemed to have been single issues
It
with
was
all
a
those
single issue.
issues that was
Yeah,
going
it
on.
was a single issue, single election event, and they basically there was need, um, and during the time when I was running Voice of Niagara, we had meetings with a Better Niagara, and we talked to them about continuing this on, and the fact that we needed a continuing event in order to get rid of you know, and get change, bring about change.
Hmm. Get rid of
Right?
all the hotel reps in Niagara Falls and
Yeah, exactly. Exactly
all
that.
these
Yeah.
people with the hands in their pockets. Yeah, this is a problem when you have politics. Is that there a lot of them will come. They have interests and what we were saying, undeclared conflicts of interest sometimes, and or they speak up for particular industries. Or you have realtors on the board, and they're talking about potential developments that they're voting on potential developments that they may be able to actually have something to do with. You know, things like that. That has to stop.
Yeah.
And we need to
Yeah.
have somebody who's going to think clearly who's on council.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna move on. We gotta go south of the border. Okay, Harris has picked okay, he picked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her new vice president running mate. So, and in doing so, it looks like what she's done is kind of stayed, I guess, what you would call stuck to the rules, the tried and tested rules about how you pick running mates, not
Yeah.
rocking the boat, kind of seeing how you can, doing what's, the right thing, if you know what I mean, right?
Well, they seem to
Um,
have picked a moderate fellow and who kind of speaks to a lot of the same demographic that Trump does.
Yeah, and basically what I'm saying about this is one of the tried and tested rules about picking a running mate is
Mhm.
first, do no harm. Second, never make voters wish the names were reversed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so they're set to cover the map of up for grabs states in the coming days. Particularly, that's important because Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, those that are up for grabs. But you know what the other thing was, though, is that Minnesota governor, okay, that helps win Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe, doesn't help with North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, though.
Yeah, that's the issue. So there has to be some way of supporting the down ballot.
And we were talking yesterday about this before I actually found out that she'd picked a running mate, about how the fact that she probably needs somebody from the South. And traditionally, most West Coast or North um, related presidents need somebody from the Deep South in order to bring that Southern vote in.
Yeah, like John F. Kennedy did when he picked up the
Exactly, because that's
Republican.
exactly what I was going to say. The
Yeah.
JFK and Lyndon B. Johnson combination. JFK was from the liberal northern belt of America, and Lyndon Johnson brought in that traditional, the
Southern.
Southern
Yeah.
Democrat vote.
Yeah, and that works very well when you're trying to combine votes throughout the country. Like that's what's going to be required with the Democrats. Like I certainly hope that they could try to pull something off. Okay, but I notice it's starting to make some effect on the swing states.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, one of the things about Waltz, I guess, is that what happens. He's spent 5 terms in the House of Representatives. He's had 2 successful runs for governor, um, and basically he helped cast her in the role she currently fills as, you know, as the understudy for the president, so to speak. And so I guess there's kind of a pre-existing relationship there, but he's not the kind of person that, you know, he's not the kind of person that voters are going to go for. Well, why isn't he the presidential candidate?
Yeah, exactly.
He's a kind of you know, low-lying, satisfying, but, you know, but powerful leader of that particular party, I think.
Yeah. And this is what they were talking about. Like, she went for certain characteristics, hey, when she was seeking somebody.
Yeah.
Hey, apparently he speaks very clearly, plain spoken, you know, and he
Yeah.
relates to a lot of different people that would be normally voting for Trump. Hey, so it's so that's what she's probably trying to look for, someone like that.
Yeah. I was interestingly watching a documentary about Donald Trump yesterday. Right. Now, this is, you know, in terms of talking about that. So this is basically the bit that I said. It's a multi-part documentary. And this was actually when he built the Grand Hyatt in New York, and you know, back in that era, when he built also then Trump Towers in New York. So his early New York development days, and he was, and he also then rebuilt a skating rink in Central Park that had been left undeveloped for years and years and years. People, you know, city crews were pottering around in this place for years and never doing anything. And he basically said, look, I'm going to build this thing. I'm going to build it in 6 months. And he built it in 3.
But he was young. He was really.
But the interesting thing is, he actually convinced a lot of people. I would imagine he probably paid them, but he said, "There's not going to be a profit made on this deal on doing that skating rink."
Yeah.
Right? So he probably convinced people, "Hey, you've already made your money. You know, we're doing this for, you know, the good of New York City, right?"
Yeah.
And so even there, you know, even though he was sitting at, there was film of him sitting at the back in the in New York City Council meeting when they were deciding about some of these things, and he was listening intently to what was going on there. Interesting. I was looking at his demeanor, etc., when they were showing him in that meeting. And even though on one occasion he actually even debated with a city councillor who voted that he shouldn't be, you know, for his Trump Tower, that he shouldn't have gotten a rebate from the city, right, or the development. And the Trump Tower is basically one of those sort of things as to he shouldn't have gotten a you know, rebate from the city because it was purely luxury building, right?
Yeah.
This was sold back in the 80s at $1 million an apartment, right?
Yeah. Oh yes.
And he was asked the question, well, if the Queen of England were to buy one of these, he said she would be most welcome. She would always be welcome here. and actually, it made me think that probably the Queen has, you know, the Queen would have bought places like that around the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you don't go into a hotel.
In Saudi Arabia, they've bought things around the world.
Yeah.
Very
And you don't go into a hotel. You buy an apartment. Like she could buy half a floor or something like that, right? Or a whole floor.
Yeah, exactly. And then people don't know the difference. But if she's visiting the town, she just goes into that apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and in order to get to, you know, let's call it the 10th floor, you'd actually have to have a key or a key pass to actually go onto the 10th floor.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the number of times she was there, they'd ring it. If that was the case, they'd ring ahead, and you know, there'd always be an attendant ready to escort them anyway, up and down.
Yep, exactly. And they have places for their staff and everything else.
Exactly.
It's always very amazing how they do these things.
It would make a heck of a lot of sense, actually, to do it that way. And so I thought that was actually quite clever, quite clever of him, selling it off to some of the richest people in the world. I don't know whether the Queen actually bought something in Trump Towers. There's no indication she did. He just happened to talk about her.
Yes, of course he would. Of course he would. Dawn blustering. Dawn blustering.
And even then, when you look about it, it included a snip that said, so when this lady was interviewing him, it included this snips that said, okay, so if you lost all your entire fortune, what would you do? And he said, maybe one day I might run for president. Right?
Oh my God.
Interesting. But anyway, so in moving from the Democrats, let's actually go over to Trump for a moment. So there's a headline on Yahoo Finance, which actually isn't really Yahoo Finance, but still, that said the Trump trade is fading. Right. The whipsaw 2004 presidential election continues to surprise. It's been less than a month since Vice President Kamala Harris jumped into from the understudy to the ticket. Now polls show her tied with Republican nominee and in some cases ahead, making a heady turnaround for once demoralized Democrats, and now sense a chance to banish Trump for good. And they say, and just like that, the Trump trade lost all its momentum.
Well, that is interesting because I keep hearing a lot of stuff, and people are passing a lot of memes along Facebook and Threads and other places to talk about Kamala and how she's doing it. And I guess J.D. Vance has made some statements about how that's Trump's understudy, for those that don't know who J.D. Vance is. But J.D. Vance was making statements about how crazy cat ladies without any children and people like that shouldn't have any say in government as much as people with families and so forth. So a lot of people were saying the crazy cat ladies aren't winning, or I vote for the crazy cat ladies.
Oh my God.
I don't know where he gets that from.
Hey, crazy cat lady.
It's really funny because it had a picture of the first family in White House, and it has Kamala Harris with her husband and his kids and all that stuff. And then it had a cat right in the foreground.
Yeah.
So I thought this was kind of funny. So a lot of people are doing these memes.
Yeah. That is kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, it's an interesting question. So with the, I think it's turned it all around. And I know that there are Trump supporters out there who will basically say, Kamala Harris is, no good for America. And, they got their right to their viewpoint, right? But
exactly.
But equally well, and they can say what they want about her, but she seems to be taking Trump on, face to face.
Yep. She just wants to do it. She wants a head-to-head debate with him. And she's ready to do it anytime, anywhere, Donald. And then he was saying that he wouldn't, I think at one point he said he didn't want to debate her. And then the next thing he said that there was some place he wanted to do it. I forget what, hosted by Fox News or something. And I said, no, I wouldn't go anywhere with Fox News. I think it should be, don't they have a preset consortium that arranges this?
That's what I thought, actually. I thought there was preset rules about these sort of things.
Yeah.
But it's weird because, in fact, actually, America, I always viewed it as being some form of rules that had been set up by some constitutional, let's call it amendment, but some constitutional laws somewhere down the line, that there were preset rules about them having debates. I didn't know, because I'd always I'd always said back in England when all you ever had was, you had, dependent upon the size of the party, you'd have like a political election broadcast by, the Conservatives or by Labour or by the Liberals, right? And you'd have one of these a week during the election campaign, and sure, the news would go out and follow the leaders of those parties around, but they wouldn't be the same. They wouldn't be the same as what you had, what was going on before.
Yeah, that's what they do in Canada, similar, where they go on the tour bus.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll have journalists that'll follow the Conservatives or follow the Liberals.
But the debate idea, I've always liked the debate idea. I always thought that, hey, I think having a Trump, Harris debate is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she's probably going to do pretty well.
I have to say that I'm not calling this election. Not calling it.
That's a difficult one to call, because I do know a few people in the States that I've talked to. A lot of them were thinking more Trump, that sort of thing, because they felt Joe Biden was on his way out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they were thinking more Trump, and then now when Kamala came up, they said, "Oh, maybe that's something I can support."
Yeah.
Okay, well, so it's different.
Yeah, and the challenge Kamala Harris has, of course, is actually the fact that because, there's going to be a portion of the white population that will always oppose her.
Oh, yes.
And Democrats as well, traditional Democrat voters that will go, I'm not supporting her.
Yeah.
Racism will probably show its face at the ballot box.
Oh yeah, which is so stupid, because I don't know, they managed to get Obama out.
Yeah, well, the question is, well, Obama served his 2 terms.
Yeah, but he's got in, both times, and supported by the Democrats, and they're still high profile in the community.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. But the thing is that even though I believe on the first occasion when Obama ran, I thought it was, I thought it was probably going to be close, but it surprised me that it wasn't as close as I thought it would be. I thought Obama was going to win, but it was going to be really that close. We're talking about 1% vote, but it was a lot wider than that.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes there's elections do come very close in the States.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that ever since I've been in I think ever since, well, the first one I took any real notice of was the second election of Reagan. And I felt with that one that Reagan was going to win, even though he wasn't going to win anywhere near the majority of Americans. And I think it was about 45% that voted that year. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a real bad turnout. Right. And he got something like 21%. He won the presidency on 21% of the, not 21% of the vote. I mean, 21% of the electors of America voted for Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that seems to be like similar to our elections, where we get like 18% of the voting population, qualified voters, voted for Doug Ford.
Yeah.
And Doug Ford gets in and gets a majority. So people have to get out and vote.
Yeah, and that's a whole different question entirely. Yeah. The American presidential election, up until the last one, was running typically for much of the last 20 years at less than 50%. I think about 51, 52% maybe, right? the last election, it ran up to just under 60%, right? So
Yep.
it improved the share of the vote because of the dynamics of who was standing, or more correctly, the idea about voting Democrat was really one, I think, more about the opposition to Trump. Didn't really
They're
matter
voting
what Democrat.
anti-Trump than that
Yeah, it was
election.
an anti-Trump vote. It wasn't a pro-Biden vote. It was an anti-Trump vote.
That's
Biden
the
just
trouble
happened to
with
be the name.
that's the trouble with these elections. Everybody votes against and not for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that too. I vote against and not for, but I really would like to see somebody run in Canada who has the charisma and the energy that's needed to run, but we don't really have anybody like that. So I tend to vote against, not for.
Yeah. Okay. Now the question becomes, okay, so is Trump really fading?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people who are very strongly behind Trump, very
Yeah.
pro-Trump, for various reasons. And I don't know. But the thing is, you'll get some of the soft Trump voters maybe fading, but
Yeah.
you're not going to get somebody who's solidly pro-Trump.
Of course, no. The pro, when it comes down to it, there will be, and there would have been pro-Biden supporters, right? But there are pro-Harris supporters, and there are pro-Trump supporters on the two flanks, right?
Yep.
The election is never about those people that are solidly on the camp already. The election is purely about that middle ground, the people who haven't yet made their mind up.
Yeah, these are all the undecided or the soft voters either way.
Yeah.
Or people who are looking at third party.
Yeah.
Because some of them are thinking of doing RFJ, like to
RFK, you mean?
RFK, yeah, RFK, yeah, that guy. I don't know, that guy's a little bit of a nut, but but I think some people probably go for him anyways, probably because they don't like either side.
Yeah, he could be a spoiler. He seemingly, by all accounts, he seems to be controlling about 5% of the vote.
Yeah, that's what some people were saying that down there. And but even the Kennedy family has practically disowned him politically.
Yeah, and essentially that's an interesting thing. It's like, yeah, the Kennedys are saying don't vote for Kennedy.
Yeah, yeah, because this guy's got a little bit off his rocker.
And at the end of the day, the Kennedys are like, Democrat royalty, aren't they?
Yep, exactly. They have like Carolyn Kennedy, and there's a few other Kennedys around that will talk, and they usually appear at Democratic conventions.
Yeah,
to speak in favor of their leader or introduce the leader. So it's always been pretty interesting watching that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they are Democrat royalty, and at the end of the day, to have one of their own who's seen as much of a lone nut out there, I understand why he was one of those Democrats that really felt, hey, we need to be challenging Biden. We need to have a strong Democrat opposed to Biden.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't it.
Yeah, he wasn't it. They have to get into the primaries and have to go into the debates and finalize, where they can get.
Well, had he done it the right way, that may have helped him.
Yep, exactly. Who knows? Who knows what he would have done? Because this guy was very, very much of an environmentalist before that.
Yeah.
He had a lot of good environmental credentials before that, but then he had to spoil it all because he started the anti-vax movement and all this other stuff. And he just got everybody all wound up.
Yeah, and which kind of makes him a bit of an oddball anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just mentioned two things that you're kind of going, well, one's out there and one's out there. How the hell can I put that lot together, right?
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And I'm not meaning left or right. Just because I use my left or right hand to actually indicate explosion doesn't mean I was talking politically left or right, right?
Yeah.
I'm just talking nutcase here.
Or things that come out of left field.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to be seeing what's going to be going ahead, and essentially, how we deal with that. I don't know.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting election, though. They see how that goes, because Donald Trump. I mean, I just find it very weird that they've challenged Joe Biden on his cognitive abilities, but they haven't challenged Donald Trump on his cognitive abilities.
Yeah, and actually, there's been a lot of people. I've seen news articles recently that have been saying Trump is, in fact, actually, I just opened the page this morning. There was something about Trump. No, and I just opened the page again, and nothing there.
Yeah. Yep.
It was talking about Trump's cognitive abilities first thing this morning.
Yeah, because he's been saying a lot of weird things, and wondering where that comes from. Like sometimes he's joking around, but then sometimes you wonder,
Yeah.
whether you actually believe certain things.
Yeah, but again, I go back to the one that always bugs me is let's test these microphones, Mr. President. He goes, let's bomb Russia. Ronald Reagan one, like,
oh yes, that was funny with Ronald Reagan.
That was like that. Are you insane?
I remember that one. Going to be bombing Russia in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And anyway, so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that I was hoping that I'd see that particular article when I opened that tab again, but I didn't. Okay, I think we're going to have to wrap it up for today. At least we've got something on YouTube that I can transfer over at a later point onto Facebook.
Yes, yeah, that would be good, because yeah, and for people who are out there, Peter's in Facebook jail, so go visit him. Hey, give him some treats or whatever, or maybe help bail him out. I don't know.
No, I think what you can do is convince them that Instagram account is not mine.
Oh, there's an Instagram account that
They're basically saying an Instagram account. So if I go into Facebook, it says an Instagram account of mine is. What does it actually say? I have to authenticate. Yeah, it demands I authenticate, but when I authenticate, it basically tells me my Instagram account, and it gives a weird name. It's not my actual Instagram account.
Yeah, it's not under PB Giblett or P Giblett.
No, because if I go to Instagram, I log straight into Instagram, and I don't have a problem.
That's like they told me this morning. I looked it up, and Invictus was suspended. Our Invictus page was suspended. I go, what? So I logged into Invictus, and there's nothing there. Like, I don't know what's going on with Facebook. I think somebody's going bananas.
Yeah. Now I can get into my Instagram account. Just can't get into
the Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you changed your settings yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it could have something to do with your settings here, and you couldn't get your password.
Actually, when I said I could get into my Instagram account, now I can't.
Oh, no, you can't. Or did it just remind you, says, oh, you're in Facebook jail, you can't go into Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram too.
Oh, I know. But the thing is, I could get into Instagram this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that Facebook because I
Yeah,
was
no, I'm
to the into the Invictus page, and then it just said that somehow the Invictus page was
oh,
suspended.
you see, I'm on Instagram here,
Oh yes.
right? Um, not a problem,
Hmm. Interesting.
right? I'm actually on Instagram. It's not a problem, so
Yep.
it's weird. Anyway, I'm going to. I haven't used it forever on this PC, so that's probably why I can't do it. I can't log on to it.
Yeah, that's what sometimes you have to go in. And if you have a password change on the Facebook, sometimes you'll have to go back on your PC and do it.
Yeah, but you see, the point being is it's not the same Instagram account, right?
Mm.
There's my Instagram account has @pgiblett, and you know, that isn't my Instagram account.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm on Threads. Okay, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a Threads account too, which is also Facebook.
Yeah. 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 I don't think they should be allowed to. I don't think Facebook should be allowed any of. And you know, Facebook should remain Facebook, and they shouldn't be allowed to buy anybody else in that social market, and they should be forced to divest all these social accounts that they have. And you see, I'm using WhatsApp. I communicated to you in WhatsApp, and I'm surprised they haven't killed me on WhatsApp.
Yeah, WhatsApp could. Yeah, WhatsApp is Facebook too.
Yeah, because they killed me on Messenger.
Oh God. Yeah, you
You
mean
know.
you can't get anything on Messenger?
Nope, can't get on to Messenger. Anyway, have to call it quits at the
Yeah.
moment. All right.
Okay.
So, well, I'll see you later on. Okay.
Okay.
All
Get out of jail free card. We'll get that for you.
right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Bye.